Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ProDev Lab podcast. I'm your host, Dave Deese. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is permission to pause. And I don't think of this as the same way as when people say, oh, you have to unplug, because there's like, you can't touch your digital or things like that, which is fine, I guess, if that's what works. When I talk about permission to pause, I often find myself trusting the process. And what I mean by that is if I'm writing a class that I have to come up with, or writing a new poem, or writing a song, or whatever it might be, something usually has to do with being creative, or some project at work, or for a client. For right now, I have to get ready for a live session I'll be on site for in 2 weeks. And I kind of have an outline. I kind of know what it's about, what the topic is. I created it. But I'm not really sure how I'm going to move through it. So instead of getting panicky, sorry about that. So instead of being panicked and nervous and anxiety or anxious, what I do is I read a lot. I read through that. I've got this great deck of cards that are called icebreakers. I got it if you get a chance, if you ever need icebreakers for a meeting or presentation. It's called Conversation Cards. It's $1.25 at the dollar store. Highly recommended. It's got some great breakout exercises in there. Anyways, so I go through that. So I'm just kind of collecting data. I just push it all, not even push, I just collect a lot of data. And then what I do is I'll go to the beach and I'll walk. Or I'll practice some mindfulness. Or I let it go. I just let it go. And when I say trust the process, all of a sudden, like tomorrow morning at 3 a.m., I'll suddenly wake up and say, oh my gosh, that's it. And I'll grab my journal or I'll sit at my studio and I'll punch out what I need to do. If it wasn't for that pause, if it wasn't for the break between collecting that data and then taking that walk, playing with the dog, dinner with my wife, or taking a nap, mindfulness practice, whatever it is, that I give permission to myself. And I want you to think about doing that. I give you permission if you need someone else to do so. But take that time to pause from that thing that you may be struggling with and trust the process. Trust that. There was a great book many years ago called Aha. And I'm sorry I don't remember the author. But one of my dear friends recommended it to me. And talks about that aha moment where it just hits you. And I think we've forgotten that lately with, how we are using browsers and AI to find our solutions, that we have that in our gray matter to be able to just let the brain work, let it settle, use that term unplug or whatever it might be. So what I'd like to help you with is taking that permission without guilt. It doesn't mean you're not working on it. On the contrary, what you're doing is you are still working on that project. You are working on that, whatever it is you're working on currently that you're stuck on, right? Grab that cup of tea, have a beer, Manhattan, walk on the beach, Diet Coke, whatever it might be. But really enjoy the pause. Nothing has to happen right now. One other thing about that, you don't have to tell anybody. What if my boss asks me what I'm doing? Well, you tell your boss you're working. But you don't have to tell everybody everything that's happening. Who would understand it unless you kind of practice this? So what I'd like you to have from this, and this is directly coming from the lab. Our ProDev Lab tells us that no matter what kind of experiments, what kind of work, The play and the permission to pause is part of the process. You trust the process. Pausing is part of that. It is part of the work. You are working. You just give yourself the permission to pause so that you can come back to it. And don't force it. Just let it happen. Trust it. You can do this with little things. Try just a small one. Say, is there a letter you want to write? Or if you don't want to, decide, I'm going to write a letter to a friend or my partner or somebody that I haven't spoken to for a while. And I really don't know what to say. Okay. This is kind of you can say this is kind of my outline, or this is my gist of it. This is what I want to say. I just don't know where the words are. And then let it go. Go do something else. Then all of a sudden that'll pop back into your head. So you can start small with this. I think it's a really important tool for your creativity to take that pause, take care of yourself, and in the meantime, trust the process and give yourself permission to pause. So that's our experiment for this podcast, the ProDev Lab podcast. And my name is Dave Deese, your host. I hope you find time to pause and be creative and be okay with it all. Be well, take care of yourself, and I hope you'll be back for another podcast soon. Thank you. Be well.